Hi, welcome to this training. We're going to look on how we will create a similar map to this. So this is just a vegetation analysis or comparison for around 20 years for Oman. So we are looking to have a similar map where we have 4 tiles to compare the vegetation for each country and just have a simple output on ArcGIS Pro. This is the output, but we are just going to start from back from the top because it won't take long. So we start by creating a project. We choose the location of our file. So we are going to do it at C volume D. We'll separate the EZG. Okay, that's the folder, and then the name is now what we call Oman. So it's under separated SGG. Then we save changes to the other project so that I don't lose it. So of course, after creating a project, it by default creates us a new map. So this is our first map that we are going to work with it. And the easiest way that we can know our map first is we can rename the name of this map by just clicking. You can click 3 times here, and then it will give you a changing interface. So we can just go to the general properties and then general, and then we change the name to 2005. 2005. No, that's not 2005. That's 2005. And just give Oman without space. That's Oman. Then we apply that. Then we can add the data for Oman 2005. So we get to map, we add data. This will be big. Then we take Oman NDVI 2005, right? We have it on a TIFF file here. It is still loading, so it will compute the statistics for because it's a raster, and then it will come here. So there are various ways that we can create that. We can either have it from just a simple one map where we add one and then we lock it, and then we add another one, we lock it, or we can have them from like several maps. We are going to work with several maps. Is it not coming up? We're going to have it in several maps because it's easier. Yeah, there we have. So we can add another map because we have 4 years. We can add another map for the second year, which is 2010. So we do the same, just edit that to reflect what we want. Then can say 2010 Oman. Right? So we keep doing that for all our data set until we are done with all the maps. So we create new map, the 4 maps, and then we after creating the maps, we add the data set for each year. So we have for 2005, 2010, 2020, and 2025 for all the 4 maps. This was supposed to be 2020. Then finally we add the last map for 2025. Add it as a new map. Yeah, so those are our 4 maps spanning from 2005 to 2025. So let me just add the last data for Oman 2025. Then we continue to now the styling. So the same way there are various methods you can use to add data or do anything. There are also various ways that you can style this layer. But because this is vegetation, I just want to give it a simple red to green style, which is not classified, just a stretch, where we'll have the bottom one, the lower side as low and the highest side as high. So we open the symbology. We can either right click and choose symbology, or you just click on the color. And then this is the color that we want. But always, it's good sometimes when you have at least a background of the area to understand how vegetation is, so that sometimes this can be reversed. So, for example, you see, if you research, this area should be the greener area and the top area. So what we do is to invert, right? And then you can see outside it has the high, even the no value has been taken as a high value, right? Or a low value. No value has been taken as low value. So we can remove that by editing the color scheme. And then we can just add a simple point at 99. And then we take the no value, which is the highest value, and give it a full transparency, right? So make it fully transparent, 100%, right? So if we give that, you can see we are now left with only areas that have these values. And then something else, the data range of my data set, this is not at full stretch, so we have to apply full stretch, right? We can edit that here. So you can either specify the minimum or the maximum, but I just love come and use this. This is how our raster is being plotted, right? So I like to move it uniformly. So for example, I can decide to move it. You can move this, and then you see how your data is being plotted. But remember, you have to be uniform with your data. So let me just return it to where it was. Okay. You always have to be uniform with it so that you don't lie with your data. You can have good data set and then you plot it in the wrong way, and then you end up lying with the information that you have, because you had the right data but the analysis went wrong. So you have to be uniform whenever you are changing this. So for example, if you're moving it one cell, like one box here, you have to be consistent to all the others. So from these, you realize it does not depict exactly how the area is. For example, there are some areas that are bit vegetative and we want to insist to make them more visible. So there are areas that are more vegetative. For example, this area here, it's more vegetative, and here some bits of here, and then also here is a bit wider. So we have to make, we want to make the vegetative area pop out. So this one will make this lower one will make the lower values to pop out, and this higher one will make the higher values to pop up. So we want these higher values to be more visible. What do we do? So we just move it. I'll move it one cell, so it's around here. Yeah, so you see the vegetative areas have popped up. See here, here. As compared to how it was saying like the whole area is just a large dry area. But actually we can see there are some rivers here, so there are a bit some vegetation at this point. So we have just made that pop out. So we have to do this for all the years for Oman, and the years are for this map, and all the other maps, right? Also, apart from this, we have to edit the symbology. We have to edit the symbology so that it moves from low to high, right? So this is the high, and then this is the low. So in the same way, we are going to edit all the other four maps that we have to change the symbology and to just to make our coloring clear in the same way. Go back, invert the color, add the transparency to the last one. So make sure that this is at 98. When you select it and then you see this is 97, you can just increase it to 99 so that we don't affect the rest of the data set. Yeah, there it is. So that is it now. So if we have created, for example, all our maps and we want to add all of them to one layer, what we do is we insert a new layout. We can also have many layouts the same way we have many maps. So we can have many maps to push to many layouts, or we can have one map to push to many layouts, or many layout to one map, or many maps to one layout. That's when is it possible to have? Okay, you can also have one map to many layouts depending on what you are doing. So we can rename it first of all, because this, when we export it, it will have the name that we want. Of course, you can export it and then you rename it later, or you can rename it as you export, depending on how you want. But I just love to name them so that I don't get confused. Human vegetation comparison. 205 2025. So that is the size of paper that we have taken. I believe we have chosen F5, F4, but you can always change. Can always change by just going to the properties, and then you can also take either portrait or landscape. I can prefer landscape, but we will see. We can always change as the demand changes. So if we have this now, we can start adding the layers. We can just insert. We go to layout. Not layout. We insert a map frame. So you choose a map frame, and then we start with the first one. We are going to start with 205. So we take 205. We draw the canva that we want. We can maybe have it this way. That's the first one. Then we can add 2010. Labels too big. So we will adjust each map for uniformity. Then we can just have them to be a bit equal. You can have them of that. So the layout sometimes is dependent on how your country is. You can have some countries that are more straight and others that are longer. So countries that are longer, it's good to have the page that is, what does it call, landscape. So when you have a landscape outline, it's better for countries that are longer, and ones that are taller, you can just have the straight page. Portrait. There we go, that's 2010. Then we can come. Was that 2020? We'll just look, we'll confirm. Then I can add 2025. Check which map is this. That's 2205. Can go back to that. This is the one that I'm not sure. It's taking long to load. I don't know why. Maybe my. So you can right click. So to check which map it is, you can just right click and then you open. And then it will open the initial map that you had. So you can see that is wrong because that should be 2020. So I'll remove that, just delete. Right click or delete, and then you can insert again. So we need there 2020. That's more like it. So after this, the next step is usually to find a common scale. And you generally just have to find, you can use cartographical scales, for example, 1 to 250,000, 1 to 500,000, 1 to 1 million, depending on on the area that you are mapping. But to change it, you can just right click, and then first of all you activate your map. Change it. My arcgis Pro is behaving today. First of all, you can activate. So when we activate, we have made the layer essentially just active, just like map when you are doing on the map. So we can move it around. We can zoom in, we can zoom out, depending on what you want. So we can choose the one that fits us best. Right? Or you can change it from here. You can change the scales here. For example, we can choose 1 million and then you see. So that is zooming too much. That's 20 million. So essentially, if the lower the number, the more fine the detail is. So it will show less features, which means it will be zoomed more. So for example, here, if instead we use 20, we use 10, you see it zooms in more. So the lower the number, the more it zooms in. But we can just adjust it manually, first of all, so that we get our sweet spot, and then we can now fix the scale. Move it a bit, zoom in a bit. Should be somewhere there. But as you can see, this layout doesn't seem to be favoring me. So to exit the active, you just close it from here, and then we are back to that. So I'll change the layout, because I can see this country, it's not more of like horizontal, it is vertical. So when I create like this, you see, I'm leaving so much white space outside, which is not good. We have to focus on the information and not the empty space. So as you can see, when it's this way, it only focuses on the area, right? So let me change the scale again. Why is it not selecting? Reactivate. So to work with it better, you can center it and then now start playing with these figures. So let us now, first of all, lower it to that. And then we also reduce. So we can also do here 0, 0. Was it zoom? Then we can still do it also here 0. So we can have 14 million. Remember, I've not worked with a fixed coordinate system. So when you work with a coordinate system, it will be different when you're dealing with I've just used the default coordinate system for this Pro, which is the web auxiliary. Yeah, so this is the one that you're going to see. This is the one that I feel like fits most of the screen without excluding any features. So I can just copy it and then deactivate that and now work on all of these with the same number. I can just select and then I paste the figure and then I OK, and it will zoom the same level. So I can paste here and then OK, it will zoom to the same level. Also select that, paste, OK, zoom to the same level and move it so that it is the same to the others. Perfect. So after you've aligned all your maps, you can lock them so that they don't move again. If you lock all the frames, they won't be editable again as you're moving around. So the next thing that we can do is to add our title, which will be simple. We just insert it as a text. I like to use this for the heading, right? Just want to see my whole page. So I can do proper placement. Okay. I think I've added too much. Let me go to this. So this is my text. I can edit it. Right. And say, let me do capital letter. Oman vegetation. And just say NDVI. 2005 to 2025. So that's our simple heading. You can edit the text symbol. Because this is a title, we want it bigger. We want a specific font and then maybe a different color. So as you can see, our font is Tahoma. Let me change into something like jeans MT. And then we can either have it regular or bold, but I just want it regular. But the size is what I'm going to change to fit. Let me see if 18 will be fine. And then the color, I'll use green. I've just chosen a dark green because we are doing, it's a vegetation map. So I want them to be talking to each other. I'll use this green. Of course, you can also use a custom color. I also want it, I also want it underlined because it's a heading. So I'll underline it and then I'll apply my changes to see how it looks. Okay. So as you can see, I think it's not enough for me. It's not enough. I'll have to make it, I want to make it pop out, so I'll make it bold. And then I'll also increase the color to the size to 20 points when I apply. Okay, that's better. That's better. But you just change it to whatever you feel like, right? For me, I think this will cut it. So I can just drag it and then add it to our map. We first of all select it. And then you make sure that the text is not locked here. If something is locked there, then we can't take it. Can't do editing to it. I want it selected, but we can't. Keep trying. Yeah. So we can add other map elements. For example, we can add now the scale, depending on which one you want to use. I'll just add that. You can add the north arrow. I'll use the simple one, the normal one, arcgis style. And then we can also add what? We can also add the legend. So here in the legend, because these are, to me, I think these are just the same things. I will add one legend, right? For example, this is Oman 2005, but there will be a catch because I will edit it so that it looks like is it is not just 2005. So we want to use just one legend for everything. So I'll go to the 2005 map, and then I can change. First of all, I don't want it to show the values. I want it to be low to high. So I'll change this to be high to low. No, high to low. We are changing the label, not the values, to low. And then also we are going to do something to the name. Can change his name, the name to reflect to be something general. We can just add NDVI levels. So that is just one way of doing it. Of course, there are many ways that you can change or you can edit this. And it's good just to have those many ways so that you use whatever you feel like is good. And yeah, that is a simple way to create a 4-tile output. So put it down on the comments. What's your thought on this output, and what other cool layout methods do you think makes your results appealing? Thank you, and I look forward to having you in the next ArcGIS Pro session. Thank you.